GM, everybody, and welcome to the Trading Floor, a thesis-driven show where we pick apart and challenge Solana's most elite traders. I'm Finn Miller, and sitting across from me over there in the US of A is Mr. Thomas Bahamas. Thomas, GM.
GM, Finn. It is a great day to talk about trading.
It is a great day indeed. Now, Thomas, we've got a packed lineup with some incredible guests today, but before we dive into all the action, there is a bit of housekeeping we have to take care of. So a quick disclaimer, SolanaFloor is a subsidiary of the Jito network, and everything discussed on this show nothing discussed on this show reflects the opinions of our hosts and guests. Everything is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and there's no financial advice here. There's no investment advice. You can find our full financial disclosures at SolanaFloor/pages/financial disclosures. So, Thomas, before bringing on the guests and opening charts, I want to take a quick minute to set the scene and explain what Trading Floor is, why we're doing this, and why the time is now for a wonderful trading show. For me, Solana is the epitome of internet capital markets. With just a wallet and an internet connection, anybody at any time from anywhere in the world can dial into a global asset market and they can trade crypto, stocks, commodities, pre-IPO companies, prediction markets, collectibles, anything. You name it, it trades on Solana. Chain a staggering range of diverse assets to trade. And the on-chain market structure has now reached a level outperforming Binance, outperforming Coinbase, and trades are getting better fills on-chain and anywhere else in the market. There really is no better place than trade on Solana at the moment. But this comes with crux. The wonderful thing of having internet markets on-chain is that, yes, everything, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you should trade everything. There's a tremendous amount of noise, bad advice, uninformed opinions, and generally egregious all kinds of tickers. And today's traders need to be ruthlessly objective if they want to survive in this kind of economy. Thomas, I'm going to throw it to you here. How is Trading Floor going to be different to all the shows and streams that people already know and love?
Yep, that sounds good. Finn, you were breaking up a little bit there, but I think I heard the gist of it. And to get into what makes Trading Floor different, it's really, that we're not just asking people where they think the market is going, right? We're asking them to bring us one actual trade, defend the thesis, explain how they'd actually execute it, and tell us how much conviction they actually have, right? So this is, we're gonna try to figure out, we're gonna try to prove them wrong, maybe a little bit, because look, everything in crypto ends up becoming trading, right? So right now, everything in trading is ending up on Solana. So we have this amazing opportunity right now to discuss what's going on. And really, for the first time, all markets are beginning to lead to one place, right? We've got stocks, RWAs, perps, memes, and prediction markets. So every financial asset is becoming on-chain, globally accessible, and tradable 24/7, like you said. So, it is an incredible opportunity, a particularly big moment, I think, in the history of financial markets. And, it's also the challenge though, right? None of us are experts in every one of these domains, every one of these markets. There's so many different angles that you can look at. So Trading Floor is really our attempt to learn from the people who are, right? So, and then we get to decide whether their trade is actually worth taking ourselves. So every trade has to compete against, what we're already holding. Capital's limited, conviction really matters, position sizing matters, and yeah, I'm really excited for this. Hopefully, everyone watching learns something alongside us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like any good trading show, we've also got a place where you can follow along with all the trades that you're going to see over the course of this show. Part of the wonderful thing that our good friend BM over at Perps.so has put together for us is that anybody, any community member can go ahead and they can pitch us a trade. We will be reviewing all of these at the end of the show. And of course, you can follow along with the wallets in question to see how these trades are actually going and see if the so-called experts are actually as good as they have always claimed to be. Thomas, I believe we have our first guest lining up in the waiting room. Is there anything else that people need to be aware of before we get cracking into it?
No, I say we kind of get right into it, right? This is the most interesting part, right? We only have these guests on for a little while, and we want to get the most out of these guests, right?
We do indeed. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the very first guest, Lucas Bruder, CEO and co-founder of Jito. Obviously, massive week for the guys over at Jito. The GTX obviously went live yesterday. We're going to dive into GTX in a bit and have a bit of a play around, but I thought there's no one better to walk us through it and tell us all about it than the man leading the team who built it themselves. Lucas, welcome. How are you doing?
Very good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. We've been having a lot of time playing around with JTX, so very excited to hear from you about all the best. Look,
Yeah.
obviously, Lucas, big week, massive week. The anticipation has been palpable. Over 100,000 people have signed up for the waitlist, and as of yesterday, the floodgates are open and people are piling into JTX. You guys spent years building some of the most important infrastructure for the chain. So, what problems did you see that was not being addressed, and why is now the time for a institutional standard trading platform to hit Solana?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's related to the user experience. So I think that I love meme coins. I trade them, but when you pull up a trading app on Solana and they default to showing you that, I think I think you're gonna have a hard time getting people outside of crypto to take that seriously. So we're kind of taking a different approach to that, where it's not the first thing you see, but you can definitely trade them on there. I think the other thing is like people want to get access to the same tools that the professionals have. And so you don't need to be a professional to trade on here, but you will want your trades to be executed professionally. So we're really focused on like really good execution, advanced order types and things like that. And we're going to continue to expand those order types over time.
Yeah, that sounds good. And you've been on an insane media tour lately. Like, how have things been going? It seems like the launch, the media tour, like there is a lot of motion right now with everything that you guys are doing. How's it going for you so far?
It's good. It's been a lot of fun. I didn't think I would be doing this my first start at Jito, but I definitely like it. And yeah, it's kind of like switching between like doing these media things, and then when they're over, going back into Slack and like working out the features and bugs and prioritizing things. And there's been a lot of good movement on the engineering side.
Yeah, definitely. We've had access to it, so we've been testing it out ourselves, and we're going to be using it as home base for this show. So really excited to use that. Really excited for what you've built out. I was watching a stream yesterday, and Swizzle was on it, and he was talking about how he was watching a meme coin trader try to do a smart fill with like a 300K
Oh
share.
yeah.
It's like I'm seeing like
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of like, okay, so we have those type of traders, but then also the type of traders that are looking for a place to, make big trades in size, where it seems like JTX is going to become that place. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about
Mhm.
like how you envision that and what's going on there?
Yeah. So, oh yeah, this is my favorite view too. I have the sidebar on all the time. Um, but yeah, we are focusing a lot on advanced execution.
Yeah.
So on the right side here, I don't know if it's just my screen or my view of myself on here. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can see we have a few order types: market order, smart fill, which is like a fast TUOP. We have true resting limit orders, so we're using Manifest central limit order book for those, so they're actually resting. And it sounds like so weird to say this, but a lot of the limit orders on Solana are not. They don't really work that well. So this is like true resting
Yeah.
limit order. I saw someone who got like $400,000 of JTO yesterday via limit order, and I just kept seeing it get filled and filled and filled. So it was super cool.
It's
And then in
awesome.
the pro tab, we have like TWAPs and things like that. So these order types work across every asset on Solana. And so, yeah, we're going to continue adding more and more, and you'll be able to use them on everything from majors like Sol and Zcash and Bitcoin to even like some of the meme coins as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So
amazing. Now,
I've seen. Sorry, go on, Thomas.
oh, I was gonna say, why is it so hard to get a good limit order on Solana? I feel like I've had several
Yeah.
orders that just blow right through those limit orders. Like, is that
Yeah.
was that actually like a pretty big technical challenge?
It was a decent technical challenge. Yeah, we had to write a custom integration on top of Manifest
Uh,
to do what we wanted. But a lot of the limit orders on Solana, basically, like almost all of them, we're starting to see more resting limit orders today. But a lot of them are trigger based, and so what's happening is you put in your limit order, and it's basically a market order that executes when some off-chain infrastructure sees that the price is set to your limit. And
okay.
so like you'll see sometimes where like things will wick, and like maybe that backend infra is like not keeping up or something, and it doesn't fire properly. And so these are like truly resting limit orders.
What's the consequence if these orders don't fire properly? Does that mean that people end up paying more on slippage? Does that mean the orders fail? Like, what's the worst case scenario that could happen using this kind of trigger order as opposed to a true resting limit order?
Yeah, I think like you'll see like people will get weird prices. Maybe they don't fire because like if they have a price impact parameter or like the bounds for the order, it'll just like go past it and it won't fire. And so these are like truly resting limit orders. They're filled super fast, and aggregators will actually route to them too if the order will go through it.
Perfect. So one of the things I've been most excited about, and what I've seen traders being most excited about, are these smart fills here. Are you able to kind of talk me
Yep.
through exactly how that works? I've seen a great piece that Delphi's put up for this that might be more helpful. But are you able to kind of tell me about smart fill and what the benefit is for people looking to use this?
Yeah, so SmartFill is basically a super fast TWAP, and this is kind of like the first version of SmartFill. We have a lot of cool ideas on how to make it better, but essentially it splits your orders up into a bunch of smaller pieces. So if you want to order, if you want to get like $100 of JTO and use SmartFill, it might do 10 orders of $10 each. And the thing that's interesting here is that if you want to trade in really big size on Solana, you kind of have to choose between, uh, you know, type in, I want to buy $1 million of Sol, and the price impact might be high. So then you have to like type it, you have to look at the price impact. You're like, okay, I'm going to split this into a bunch of small orders. And then I'm going to like kind of like manually click market order over like a few minutes. And it's, it requires many clicks. The idea behind this is it's like a smart fill. You press one button and it will break up the execution. And the cool part is that for pairs that have centralized liquidity on like a centralized exchange, you can actually rely on the market makers and the arbitrageurs to bring that price back in balance. And so if you start to run the price up on chain a little bit and it's higher than a centralized venue, then you'll see arbitrageurs come in and bring that price back down. And so you're kind of relying on them, and ultimately you'll just get a better fill as opposed to one giant market order.
Okay. Does that mean that if this scales, let's say, and everyone starts using smart fill to place $1 million orders, does that kind of cause an issue where people can start front running that? Because if they know there's going to be X amount of orders placed at X amount of size on chain, does that become a risk for people who might end up losing execution because of that?
Potentially. I mean, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. I think there's ways that you can mitigate that. And like I said, this is kind of like the first version of Smart Fill. We will make it much more advanced in the future to try to mitigate some of that.
Amazing. Now you brought up earlier that there was a 400K Jito limit order. I'm hearing that there's some smart fills on some of these shitters. Like, how else are people using JTX like differently than you expected? Right? You build this perfect platform and
Yeah.
then let people do what they want. Like, what else are you seeing out there?
Yeah, there's been a lot of meme coin trading. So
Has there?
someone created this perp.so, and it monitors the venue stats. I want to say, there's, I would say like roughly 50% of the volume right now is meme coins, which is pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think definitely seeing a lot of like smart fill orders come in and TWAPs come in for meme coins. There's actually been, this dashboard doesn't show the TWAPs, but there's been a lot of TWAP and smart fill activity. And so our TWAPs basically time weighted average price. It will buy once a minute for anything up, can be a few minutes long or even a few days long. And so we're definitely seeing some activity on like multiple hour running TWAPs.
That's amazing. I did a couple smart fills myself, and it feels awesome as you see them go through. It feels like
Yeah.
you're like, I'm a market maker now. It's like you're giving us the tools
Yeah.
that like all the other professionals have. So it definitely like, it's smooth. It runs really quick, and also we do have to give a shout out to BM. So he built the perp.so site, and we're actually doing we're doing a competition between me and Finn. Based on the trades that we take on this show. So we can track them there. People
Nice.
can submit their theses if we want. So we're pretty excited about that. Now let's see. we've got a lot that we want to ask you, but I don't know how much time we are going to go over. One thing that I wanted to talk about was Robinhood just dropped like a social media app in their platform. I know that FOMO has a lot of like social aspects coming to it, and there is like a big social aspect to trading, right? Trading's more fun when you're
Yeah.
trading with other people. You know, the show's called the Trading Floor. Like, do you see any sort of social aspect coming to JTX at all?
Potentially, I think the social apps are doing really well right now, built by really good teams. I think the things that we are thinking about is like, how do we make people smarter and make them make better decisions? So right now, like the UI is very simple. There's like this trade page and the portfolio page. So we're definitely thinking about like better explore. We'll have an explore page at some point soon, and we hope to kind of surface more signal through that. You can imagine some of that being pulled from some social elements, and then maybe some other data that we can get on chain.
Yeah, yeah, and I think another thing to think about too is I feel like the entire Jito and JTX team are very in tune with like what's going on with crypto Twitter. You guys are like kind of like the leaders of Solana, right? Like there is no team I think that is more bullish Solana than what you guys have done. So to see you bring like I don't know 5 years of infrastructure and chewing glass into
Yeah.
not only releasing BAM but releasing JTX, releasing this trading platform is extremely exciting for me. It's like you guys are championing this movement.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been really cool and exciting because, yeah, as you said, like we've mainly been building infrastructure up until this point. And I
Yeah.
think the infrastructure has been super valuable, but the customer is different for that. It's been like validators and stakers, and it's not like a super high touch thing. And so we're having a lot of fun. We're shipping features super fast, and it's cool to see people's input and like people using the things that we built and like interacting with them very frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good. Well,
On that,
oh,
what's been the most valuable feedback that you've gotten so far? Because obviously we're at day one. You know, you've been in day zero for a few weeks
Yeah.
now. What has come out and that's surprised you, and what have people been most asking for?
As far as like most asking for, there's been a lot of requests around like the way the watch list is handled. I would say there's been a lot of requests for more order types too. And so I think our back end has trailing stop loss right now, but we haven't shipped it to the front end yet. So
Epic.
that will be something that will come pretty soon here. And then we have a lot of cool other order types that people are requesting or that we've kind of come up with. There's been a lot of stuff around like taxes as well. So like being able to export your trade history into a CSV so you can just shove it into the tax platforms or give it to your accountant. So yeah, there's been a lot of requests, and we're trying to go through all of them as fast as we can.
Cool.
yeah. Yeah.
So
And
on the
I like
right,
the way that you can track your portfolio so easily and have multiple wallets in there. Like I created a new wallet very
Yeah.
easily and it's just right there in the portfolio page. So you can track multiple wallets, which I would assume also would help with tax purposes as well. But
Yeah.
it's a very easy to track platform, right?
Yeah, the portfolio is super important for us because I think um, a lot of, maybe not a lot of, but I think some platforms today on Solana, they don't, it's not really built around your portfolio. It's like kind of getting in and out of individual positions. And I think people want to see their portfolio, they want to see their P&L, like how they're trading on each position. And so there's a lot that we can do to enrich this data. But I think the portfolio view is a pretty important piece for us to add to JTX.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Last question before we get to your trade. What's the most degen thing that you've seen on JTX so far?
Oh, I would say the people using smart fill on these like low liquidity meme coins. It's pretty funny to see that happening.
Yeah,
as markets intended. I did have one quick
Yeah.
question, Lucas. Maybe something slightly of a gripe, something of that, something to do with Solana's tokenized equity system that is causing
Yeah.
questions for a lot of people. If I come over here and I go space X, right? I've got backpack SpaceX, I've got SpaceX on, I've got long and short options there. If I'm someone coming to JX for the first time, how am I going to know kind of which stock provider I want to go with? Is there something that you guys are planning around this, or is there anything you can share?
Yeah, we're planning around this. I think the we don't need to show 5 different charts to people for SpaceX. And so we are doing a lot of work behind the scenes on better equities trading. I think there's going to be a lot of equities coming on chain within the next few months here. And so you can kind of see here like those wicks on the charts, and every chart's different. And, I think there's a lot of room for improvement on these equities trading in JTX and also other platforms. So we're going to take a very opinionated approach on how that works. And I think it's going to be a really cool experience for people.
Top. All right, we're getting into the tail end of your segment here, Lucas. So the time has come for the moment that everyone's after. What's the trade, Lucas? You've been in and around the markets for a long time. You've traded your way through many, many cycles. If people were looking at one ticker today and they wanted to step up to the trading floor and see what's up, what would you pitch to them?
Yeah. I would say that this is not financial advice, so don't listen to me. But the one I think is really funny right now is Ket. It's up a lot today, so maybe you want to wait for a pullback here. But I think it's been the memes and the videos that I don't even know who runs it, but the memes and the videos are just top tier. So it's been funny to see that. I think they're going to keep making those videos and keep doing funny stuff. And I think it's going to become even more viral than it is today. The other one I would say that I'm still pretty interested in is Zcash.
Love it. I love it. Okay, he's coming on. He's talking meme coins. I like this. I watched Ket's video for the release of JTX and was crying laughing. It was hilarious. You were out there battling people. I feel like a lot of the attention game is very interesting when it comes to meme coins, and it feels like liquidity is coming back to meme coins as well. Is that what you're seeing? Are you seeing now is the time where it's okay to kind of dip the toes into meme coins a little bit? Is that why you're thinking about this trade?
Yeah, I would say that you have to be really careful with meme coins. Don't bet everything on them, obviously. 2 weeks ago, everyone on Robinhood chain was talking about how all these memes are running. If you look at them today, most of them are down more than 90%. So definitely don't bet more than you're willing to lose here. But I think that Ansem token has really kind of revitalized the trenches. And I think we're going to start to see more meme coin activity, especially from a lot of these creative, dedicated people. The Ket videos are just so high quality. They've been pumping them out. It's insane. I don't even know what technology they're using to make these, but my face is pretty accurate in there. And Anatoly and Ansem, they have Mert and some of these other crypto characters like Sailor on the JTX intern one. So I think it's good time, but obviously not financial advice on any of this.
Definitely not. And historically, I buy a lot of meme coins that I think are funny, and they don't do well. Let's talk about your conviction on this trade. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would your conviction be on Ket?
I would say short. A lot of my conviction on meme coins is short term. There's only a few that break out long term. So I'd probably say a 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Yeah.
I mean, it's up 300% today. I don't know what happened last night.
I think the video is just so good that people got put on notice that Ket was around because of this brilliant video that broke out of whatever bubble that was in before. I admit seeing something that's up 340% in 24 hours, makes it look a bit less appealing to me. But I wouldn't say no to looking back at this at lower levels again. I want to cross over to Zcash because obviously Zcash has got a lot going for it. There's a lot of optimism, and especially since that hack, there's kind of washed out a lot of the speculators and kind of left a lot of the true believers, let's say. So do you think where do you see Zcash going from here? Do you think that is going to kind of be a breakdown at any time? Do you think we're just going to grind up out through here? Obviously, NFA for anyone listening.
Yeah, I guess to clarify, it wasn't a hack. It was a vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I believe the vulnerability has been patched now, and things will be formally verified soon if they're not already. I think it still has plenty of room to run. I think privacy is going to continue to become more and more important. I think we'll see a little more privacy on Solana coming pretty soon here. But yeah, I think if you look at the ways that governments and other entities in power are trying to break privacy and prevent it and track people, I think that people are going to continue to want more access to privacy.
Yep, I 100% agree on that. I loved the whole privacy narrative, and Zcash was one of my biggest trades in the last year. But when you think about a target for Zcash, like, are you looking at it versus like Bitcoin's market cap? Are you thinking like I've seen 0.1 Bitcoin market cap? Like, are you thinking that that's like realistic, or like what would you say as far as like targets?
Oh man.
Not financial advice, of course. Yeah,
obviously not.
Somewhere up around here, I guess.
Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to continue to run. I mean, I think that we are still kind of in a bear market. I think that there's, with hopefully clarity passes and we get some other good legislation, I think the tech's getting way better. And so like, I think everything's going to run within the next like year. And the time to buy is when everyone, I think Tushar from Multicoin was on podcast. It's like, yeah, when you feel like an idiot, that's the time to buy. And when you feel like a genius, that's the time to sell. And so, you know, the past like a year, I've kind of felt like an idiot sometimes. So I think it's starting to be a pretty good time to buy. And I think things will start to run pretty soon here.
Yeah, it really feels like that is the place in the cycle where we're at. Like, it definitely feels like we've hit a bottom. What do you think? Have we hit the bottom yet? And we've got some green candles in our future?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Love to hear it. Lucas, thank you so much. Your time slot has come to an end. We're about to bring on our next guest. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you, and a pleasure, having you walk us through JTX and all the wonderful features that we're going to play around with in the future. Any last minute words for any viewers?
Yeah, go sign up and tag me if you have any feedback, and we'll address it as soon as possible.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. Everyone, check out JTX, and huge thank you to Lucas for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. The man, the myth, the legend. How good having Lucas on for day one.
Oh man, I didn't think he was going to come with a meme coin. I did not see that coming, but I'm pretty excited about that. I like memes and I like Zcash, so I'm pretty excited about those. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I like Kit as an idea. I think it's running a bit too hot for me personally. I'll probably hold off a wee bit and reevaluate that once it comes back to lower levels. Zcash, I think, is perennially interesting. I think, especially like you said, if we see a whole lot of redistribution politics come into play in the US, then I think privacy is really going to catch a bid. But we've got a stacked list. We've got more guests waiting in the waiting room. So shall we bring on the next man?
Yes,
you know him, you love him. This is Simon Molitor, CEO of Solana ID, and as you all know, the co-host of the greatest Solana ecosystem call we've ever seen in the past years. Simon, how you doing?
Thank you so much. That's an amazing intro. I wanted to say, couldn't say it better, but I have to push back on the last line because, big shout out to Kash Danda for the ecosystem call V1, which was great in its own format. We just brought it back differently, not better.
Just the humility caveat of the man. The humility. We love to see.
No, I mean, it's a different format, right? We came in with a very different pitch for the ecosystem calls, but we're having a lot of fun, as you guys know, and enjoying also the collaboration with SolanaFloor since a few months now, which has been really, really fun, and it seems like it's continuing. So
yeah, they're hilarious to watch.
I
have a great time watching them. So thank you for putting those on.
Of course, there's lots of hands on deck that are making this happen. Yeah, definitely not me. Yeah.
I know that a lot of Solana knows Simon for his comedy and for his hosting abilities, but actually, Simon, you've got a pretty strong career in TradFi and in markets as well. So do you want to give us a very quick overview of actually how you got into the more financial side of this before coming into Solana?
For sure. Once upon a time, Simon was 16 years old, approximately, and thought there must be more to life than just, high school and then get a job. So it was literally back then when I started with very traditional. I started reading 4-Hour Workweek, which opened my eyes to entrepreneurship. And I was like, there's a different world out there. And then I just started to go into, stock trading and markets and, curious about economy, which led me to, study also business and finance. And, I wanted to learn, right? The 20s are for learning. So that's what I double tapped on. And it led me also to my first job in the financial industry, with a lot of other hoops and loops, obviously my career that I'm going to skip now. But I ended up at a venture capital fund because I am very passionate about entrepreneurship, but I wanted to experience the other side of the table first. So I worked in a VC fund right after university for a while. And then I also worked in financial services as a financial advisor, which sounds like, you're looking at charts, but actually you don't. It's more traditional financial products. But in my free time, I always looked at the charts, right? I was always very curious. And then crypto was the natural evolution of everything when I was like, hey, this is much more fun to look at than the traditional stock market, early 2020. And now I'm here, fairly passionate about trading and charts. I try to stay a little bit off the charts more and more after burning my hands here and there a little bit in the past, which is just a natural evolution of a trader, I would say. And I'm still not a genius, and my views are probably also flawed. They are definitely, and they are non-financial advice. I said it for you guys. You're welcome. But I do have some stuff to share, right? I love yapping about charts, so here I am yapping about charts.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, look, I want you to put those hands back in the fire, Simon. So do you want to share your screen and tell us a bit about what you're seeing in the market at the moment?
Yes, I'd love to do that. Literally, when you said this, my TradingView alarm just buzzed in the background. So Solana seems to be moving. Okay, let me put on my screen.
In a good way or a bad way? What do we got?
For me in a bad way, but for the market in a good way. But I'll tell you more about this.
Oh, you're coming on here short Solana?
Interesting.
What are you doing, Simon? Come on, man.
Okay. Give me more. What are we sharing? Let's do. We need probably entire view. Yeah, let me share my entire screen. Let me know when it's up.
I'm seeing it.
That's up.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. So let's first clear up the mess because my chart can be. I cleaned it up for you guys. You're welcome. But there's definitely a lot of indicators. When we zoom out, we're going to take a look at that. But yeah, we're talking about Solana. I'm talking about Solana today with all of you. And zooming out, I love to zoom out first. And I'm also not a great day trader, which I think most people aren't, even if you think you are, but you're probably just lucky. But I like to take a bit of a longer bet, right? It can stretch across a few days. It's more of a string trading philosophy. And if you swing trade, then there's a few indicators that I rely on that I'm going to talk about with you guys. But for now, looking at the Solana chart overall, we are in an interesting zone because we're inching closer and closer to, very important lows here. We can't, there's a lot of selling pressure already right now across Bitcoin and Solana alike. There's seller fatigue slowly coming in. There's signs of bull markets, which is also very typical in the moment of the cycle we're in right now. So people are getting more and more confused about the future direction because when you're dropping down, it's pretty clear where we're going. You're like, this is a fucking bear market after such a decline, which we had back in November 25, and then another flush back in early 26. You kind of know you're in a bear market, right? No questions asked. But then once the accumulation phase sets in, and we're in this boring ass, annoying, confusing accumulation phase right now, that's where the real confusion sets in, and people are like, what's next? And I can give you my overall view. And this is where we're gonna put a few indicators here on the chart. My overall view is that we're most likely not done with the market flush. So are we going up from here? My answer is no. I do think, and this is my thesis and non-financial advice, I think there is a little bit of more of selling pressure, a final leg down, if you want to say so, which is also very typical for Bitcoin in the current time that we're in. If you look at the cycles, if you look at midterm years, usually the bear markets evolve in stairs, right? It's not just one flush to the downside. It's always a flush. It is accumulation. It is a flush. It's accumulation, and it's a final flush. And we've seen this in every 4-year cycle that has been played out. And if you say the 4-year cycle is dead, then you're probably wrong, because early this year there was a point to be made that the 4-year cycle might be wrong, but now we're back in it, right? So everything pretty much when it comes to Bitcoin plays out as it has before. There's no rocket science here. And Bitcoin has a correlation with Solana of like 80-90%. So it's like highly correlated. So why would we believe something else unless proven different? I'm a big fan of taking a handful of indicators. I don't want to, fucking throw 20 indicators in the chart and be like, I got it now. No, I like to choose 2, 3, 4 indicators. One of them is just time cycles, really, which is like this super zoomed out view. In the time cycle right now, we're in the end of the bear market, period. And there needs to be a move to the upside at some point. But I also love to look at Elliott waves. You're probably familiar with the concept of Elliott waves, which attempts to mirror trading psychology, really, human psychology of traders when they look at charts. And I don't know, are you guys familiar with Elliott? Are you using the indicators, or did you do some research? Not at all? Okay.
I don't do much TA myself, so
got it.
I would love for you to give us the quick TLDR on what these Elliott waves are.
Yeah. So again, they're not rocket science. They just they basically rely on math, which is very beautiful. They do rely on math, but they also discovered very traditional or very conventional movements of price action when it comes to trading psychology. And you have either 5 wave counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you have corrective wave counts, which is an ABC wave, so 3 waves. And those are the main waves that we can touch on. A 5-wave move usually plays out in an additional attempt to either the upside or the downside, then a recovery, which is very typical, right? You get a first small impulse in a new trend, and then there's always going to be one recovery. That's very natural, because once the first resistances are hit, once the first buy or sell exhaustion sets in, there's always a counter trend. If that counter trend doesn't go lower than where the first wave started, the 0, and it finds support in a specific Fibonacci zone, then we can expect a 3rd wave. The 3rd wave is normally the impulse. Why is that also natural for trading psychology? It's because after you establish the first setup, which is one attempt to the upside, a drawdown back into Fibonacci resistance, and then in a successful counter trend again to the upside, then that is usually when liquidity comes in. When people are like, okay, we're turning around now after the first attempt to reverse to the downside, we're going up. And then the 3rd wave is usually the most impulsive wave of all 5 waves, and also the wave with most liquidity or volume in the markets. Then we have a 4th wave, which is another, same as the 2nd wave, another drawback. Usually after such a big impulse to the upside, the 4th wave is a bit more confusing than the 2nd one. It can stretch either quite lower than the 2nd one, or it can stretch over time. 4th waves can be very excruciating. We see them a lot in accumulation phase, and they can last for days or weeks, depending on what time cycle you're looking at. And then the 5th wave is the final conclusion to the upside. Now, let's apply this to the chart, because you see a few waves already drawn on my chart, and I'm going to tell you what they do. But we can even zoom in a little bit and attempt to identify a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup in the current microstructure here, because I know you guys and everyone watching doesn't really care too much about the macro cycles. We all know that we're going to go down maybe a bit more now, and that we're going to go up at some point. But we want to make money today, right?
And we are all here to learn as well, right? We want to learn what moves the market rather than just give me a number to go in on.
Perfect. I love that.
And I was going to say, if it is going to be going down, you got to give us the number here. So if Sol is going down, what do you think the bottom for Sol is going to be? The people need to hear it.
Yeah, totally. We're going to take a look at that when we're looking at the next down leg here. But for now, what we could attempt to identify here is we could try, even in the microstructure, these Elliott waves are getting quite messy, right? So the more you zoom out, the more on a high level you are, the more reliable they get. But here in this current scenario, we could probably discover a 1-2 setup right? Like price first impulse to the upside, second wave drawback, but then counter rally. The counter rally also brought a little bit more volumes again in, and there's more. You can literally see it on the chart. There's higher candles, more bodies. There's definitely more movement here. So that might have been a third wave, fourth wave to the downside, and then fifth wave to the upside. So this is how you would do the micro count here inside that smaller move here on the hourly chart. If that checks out, then we should break above which we are right now. This is where my alarm went off. We should break above this top here for a fifth wave, and then attempt the down, the down phase after that again.
So the short answer is up to 80 and then down to Goblin Town.
Probably, but the thing is, I don't think we're done with this correction. Like, we can go higher. That's my answer right now. So before we go to Goblin Town, I think right now, and for this we can zoom out again, let's just rely on the Elliott waves. Right now we're basically in this second wave to the upside of a downtrend rally, right? Or not a rally, but a down movement. So we printed the first leg to the downside from the May high. We went all the way down to $60, right? Crossed it a little bit. Then now we were moving upwards, and inside of this second wave to the upside, and the second wave targets are the Fib levels between the top and the low, and Fibonacci gives us to the target zone here between the most significant level, which is the 0.618, and that's not me telling you this is the most significant level. You can literally see it because we already touched it perfectly, right? And this happens a lot, by the way. If you trade with Elliott waves, you will see the patterns, and you'll be like, interesting. There's something to it. And it's A, because we all look at the same indicators. A lot of people are using Fib levels. And it's B, because there's something magic about numbers. We don't need to go into the depth here. But we hit that first 0.618, which technically means the second wave could be completed, right? This could be it. We could go down from here, right? This is one scenario. But it was only the 0.618 and also only briefly. And then we saw a pullback to the downside, but then now we're attempting to go up again. So what that tells me is that we might try to push higher into the second wave. There's a feasible path for that, which would be that the second wave here that we're right now in consists of a three-wave corrective pattern, right? Corrective, why? Because the trend is down. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trend is down. So everything that's not down is corrective. Everything that's corrective in Elliott waves is a three-wave move. Three-wave means A, B, and then up to the C, right? So the C is what I'm currently waiting for, basically. So one more push into this Fib zone here, and that is a possibility.
What kind of time frame are you looking on? What kind of time frame are you looking at for that?
This is a thing about days right now, like this move. I'm in the 4-hour chart. Those are quite large waves, right?
Yeah.
So this can play out over days, right? It could be 1 trading week, 2 trading weeks, where we see the second wave play out here to the upside. So right now we are in this down movement, attempting to complete an A, B, C to the downside, to finish this B wave to the downside, and then go up again to complete the second wave. So you always have it's a level system, right? You have macro, and then in the macro moves you can identify sub waves, right? All the way down to the minute chart if you want. But the lower you go on the time frame, obviously the less reliable the Elliott waves get, right? Because there's too much going on. So I like to stay zoomed out. Now you asked for targets. Like where do we go next? And it's on my chart, right? So I do think that there's a fair chance that we can tap into this area down here, which is, there's like a bit of a phase with more volume around the $56, and we tapped into this already, and we tried to go up from there. But I think the final flush should bring us somewhere between around $50. So my target zone for the final flush would be first target zone between 50 and 42, and I think this could be it, right? I think if the bull market, if the sentiment stays positive and no black swan happens, then I think this could be it. But it really depends how this next wave here plays out, because on my chart, if the second wave is complete, either now or after one more high, we should see an impulse to the downside in the next, let's say in the next 4 weeks. I'm in the daily chart now, right? So I think we should see at some point again an impulse to the downside that brings us closer to this target zone. Maybe not quite there yet, but maybe there yet, right? And then after the next impulse, we'll definitely see an attempt to reverse again. That will confuse people. People will think, is the bottom in? Are we going lower? But this might be just an excruciating fourth wave that will then stretch over a few trading sessions again before one more final flush, and then we may recover, right? So I'm really tracking the sub $60 level very, very closely now. But bottom line, if you ask me right now, hey Simon, are we good? Can we go long? I'd be very cautious. If you open longs right now, I would close them quickly in profit, right?
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. I hate this $50 target. I hate it with everything, but it's making sense. It is right. Making sense. So maybe be a little cautionary if you're out there longing. I actually got pretty skeptical of TA. I signed up for TradingView's like AI platform where they show you all the patterns. So you see every chart, it does all the charts for you. And I took a couple trades and lost. And then I realized that you can just adjust the time frames until it's bullish, and you can just convince yourself whatever you want. So this is a much more sophisticated way of doing TA than what I was doing.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's also why I say don't mingle too many indicators, right? Like this is also a very fair point. And you could like the waves usually, they kind of check out. If you combine one or two indicators, you will see they check out as well. Because I'm looking, for example, when I look at Elliott waves and fib levels, I also look at two other things, which is or maybe three, but let's talk about two. One is just simple RSI, right, which you might be familiar with, because one of the most basic indicators is oversold, overbought, right? You don't need to study for that. You don't even need to understand how it works. You just need to understand that if the RSI is on the higher range, it's probably oversold, overbought. If it's on the lower range, it's probably overbought. Oversold, sorry. And then you can match this with your wave theories, right? In my sub count right now, I'm in an A, B, C. So I'm waiting for this red zone here to find its footing and then turn around to the downside. And this is going to be when the RSI is hitting its highs, right? Either we print one more high here or not. So that's one thing to look at. And then you can also work with the trend, right? With the RSI trend. So and you can identify how do you call it? Mismatches, right? So if the RSI falls to the downside, but the price is printing higher highs, but the RSI is going lower lows, that might tell me a story of a bullish attempt to go a little bit higher.
Okay, I think one thing that the listeners are going to need is we need to hear the target for the highs. We've got to get some comments from the listeners what they think it is, and we got to see what time frame, what the bullish range is too.
What time frame are we talking about? Like next bull market or next
bull market? What are you thinking?
I mean, sky's the limit. Honestly. So in the broader picture, let's look at the broader count here. I use Elliott waves all the way up to weekly view, right? So like all the way zoomed out. And right now, I'm checking this current move in if you zoom out really far, right, as we are right now, I'm treating this current low that we're printing here as a second wave to the downside here, right? So wave two after this one high, 1, 2. We can't go much lower though. Like if we break below like $50 very significantly, then this 1-2 setup gets invalidated because we can't get close to the beginning here, the zero, right? It needs to be like the latest fib level, the 0.886 or something, right? Where we find support in the second wave. But then, what comes after the second wave? The third wave. And which one is the most impulsive one? The third wave. So this would be bull market, 27 or whenever it appears. And that could definitely bring us to new highs. Since the third wave is an impulse, that could be a really nice bull market, right? If you draw targets for bull markets, you use the trend-based fib. You start at the beginning of wave one, you go all the way up to to the end of wave one, and then you find the footing, right? So basically where the distance between wave one and wave two. Let's say wave two brings us all the way down to $50. Then this becomes our target zone for the third wave.
I like it.
And that looks good, right? Like that basically means that the most significant level here is the 1.618 fib level, which is $500. That would also be a very nice psychological level to bounce off from into an excruciating fourth wave, where people will be like, is this a bear again? Are we done yet? And then everyone's starting to go short, but it's just a fourth wave, ladies and gents, and we're going to print one more high, taking all the liquidity again from the people who were short for one final push. And this can play out over a whole year, by the way, right? Like I'm not talking about weeks here. But if you want targets, $500, very feasible. Purely looking at TA, we don't even need to talk about the fundamentals. I think we're all aware that Solana has potential to gain a high market cap. That's not news for you. But yeah, this would be the bull case.
Cool. Wow. Thomas, I love that Simon's come on to, pitch us a $40 sol, and you've ended up talking him into talking about a $500 sol at the other end. Simon, can I ask you to zoom back into the next kind of few weeks? You said, you expect we're going down here. Is there a level above this that would invalidate this thesis for you? Like, obviously, we've got a lot of good news coming. We've got some good SIMDs. Let's say Clarity Act gets passed in the next few months. If we close above either of these two lines, perhaps this one up the top, if we get a weak close above there, do you reevaluate your thesis
for
here?
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure. There's always invalidation points, right? That I rely on. And when it comes to the FIB levels, the last kind of chance that I would give the second wave, after this it gets more and more insignificant, the FIB level, is a 0.786 and maybe the 886, right? So we could activate this one as well as a last resort kind of option if there's like a candlestick that peaks into this, sure, fine. But then we need to return for this 1, 2, 3 setup to work that I painted here, right? 1, 2, 3. But if that white zone here gets passed through, especially with impulse and with volume, then the bear case is invalidated, right? And then we might be already on our way up, and then I will rearrange the level counts. And that's the thing with elite wave theory, right? Like it's not obviously it won't tell you the truth, right? Because there is no fucking truth in trading. There's always probabilities, right? So what Elliott wave and FIB levels do for me here is they tell me the probabilities, and as long as we're in line with the model, as long as we're respecting the FIB levels and the wave counts I'm counting, then my probability is my base. The probability for my base scenario is the one that is higher than 50%, and that's the one I would take a bet on, right? Can it reverse? Of course, there's a whole other 50% of or 40 or 30, right? That is a fair chance to reverse. Even if there's a 5% probability, it could also happen. So I'd watch this $80 to $90 level very closely for movements. I would, I'd look at it. I'd probably consider this as a zone for shorts because again, my base scenario is lower prices. So I would consider shorts up here. I would check the liquidation heat map. That's a third indicator besides the RSI that I'm mixing with the Elliott waves because it's very reliable. I would look at the liquidation heat map where you can see where are the liquidity buckets. Like where's the most liquidity, which means this is where the most people get liquidated. Right? That's what it essentially means. So if we're up here and we got a huge liquidity heat map bucket, down here, I'm like, okay, maybe this is another confirmation for me to pull the trigger on the short, because I think we're going lower. But as I told you in our intro, even right now I'm short, but very, very short, very small size, because I'm trading the sub levels, which is less reliable. But I'm expecting this to turn around. Right?
Sounds good.
Right,
I will simply stake and chill through that dip if that happens.
Hell yeah.
Brilliant. All right, Simon, we're pushing towards the end of your slot there. So thank you so much for joining us. It feels painful to short sol at this stage, but maybe you're right. Who knows? Simon, thanks again.
Yeah, you're a legend. Appreciate the time. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me. Peace out, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right.
Excellent. Thomas, short sol.
What
gutsy,
a curveball.
Very gutsy.
What a curveball. I mean, I am not taking that trade. I will tell you this right now. I don't short crypto. Right? When it comes down to it, it's like I believe in it, and I don't know. I would be very uncomfortable in that position the whole time.
Especially after it's already dropped down so far. Like we're down, 70% from all-time high already. Obviously, it can go down another 50%, but it's a very gutsy call.
And obviously not financial advice, but I mean, we are talking about trading. It is a trading show. Everyone be responsible. Do your research, but. It is interesting to hear his take on that. And that was a way more sophisticated technical analysis than I've ever done. So I liked it.
Yeah, the man is he's an excellent TA wizard. So we're obviously very, very thankful to have him on. Now, we have one final guest. Thomas, do you want to introduce Mr. JonnyJPGS for us?
Yes, we have the man, the myth, the one, the only JonnyJPG. So Mr. Jonathan Suarez is coming to us. He's got a stacked resume. He's got an SMB profile picture. He's a fellow Quebec noble, and he's got a long history of shilling insane tickers in the chats. He's well known for this. He was shilling Zcash in the $20 range, got me into my best trade of the year. So thank you for that. And he was also shilling a 9K shitter just the other day. So what a legend. What a legend.
What an intro. Thanks, guys. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Looking at charts, enjoying this episode. Simon was very astute. I loved his logic around kind of price action for Sol. So it was really a pleasure hearing what he had to say. And it's funny, like his bull case target around the $500 range. I think that's all of like Solana OGs that I know. Everyone hears the sold to $800 to $1,000, but I think everyone who's been around since the early days, I think that $400 to $500 range has always been the kind of peak target that everyone's eyeing for. So when he said that, that kind of validated a few years of price targets that have been floating around different chats.
It's nice compliments, right? You know, when people who are really good at TA come in and kind of confirm something you've been thinking, it's like, maybe I'm doing something right.
Oh yeah. I mean, the downside too, it looks scary, but again, like if you're not trading with leverage and you have a long-term vision, you shouldn't really worry yourself about the downside, especially when you can zoom out and look and see where the upside's going. But things like the Clarity Act, I mean, everything is really hinging on that, which is a bit disappointing for me because I think that the market setup is what we've been looking for the past 10 years. And everyone is waiting for this confirmation of the Clarity Act to build out, more of the institutional rails, which are already being built, by the way. So if there's any delays on that, it's going to spook the market, and you could see that downside play out just because of the mechanics of how liquidity markets play out, and also to a lot of like more global liquidity events that are playing out with what's happening, overseas in Iran and everything else. So there's a lot of factors that, not because of Sol or anything else, is just the way the markets work that could shift things to the downside or the upside.
Yeah, and we do have to say once again, none of this is financial advice, but yeah, I like what you're saying there, and I think a lot of like the big issues that we see are like mismatched timeframes, right? Like people will come in and, Bitcoiners have a 20-year vision for what their price is going to be. It's $1 million or whatever. And then someone will see a chart and they'll, 20x long Bitcoin that same day and get liquidated. It's tough to judge like what time frame people are talking about and people are looking into. So yeah, I don't know. I'm always interested in hearing like what's going on right now. Like, what are you thinking about in the markets? Like, how are you finding all of these coins? Like, what's your criteria for when you're looking at different coins?
So I follow a lot of different group chats. I mean, I've been trading altcoins, since 2016, 2017, then kind of shifting over to meme coins. A lot of like my early like meme coin trades was just gut and instinct.
Yeah.
Then I started to, then when more like the degen kind of trenches started opening up, it took me a while in the early Solana days to really understand like what left curve meant. And it took me probably a good year to like take my boomer hat off and be like, all right, like I need to think about this like completely differently. But it allowed me to just like scan the market manually. And instead of chasing tickers and just, momentum trading, I really just wanted to take my time and see how things play out and wait for an entry. And you're kind of, and that really did happen with Solana. And I think a lot of these meme coins, I mean, if you think about it like a staircase, like when Solana meme coins really started like taking off, like I would say the $5 to $10 million range was a huge milestone. Then all of a sudden it's like, all right, like, it hit $40 to $50 million. Oh wow, Bonk just hit $100 million. Wow, we're at $500 million. And I think you're seeing that same kind of like stair step approach happen in Robinhood. And that's why a lot of people are kind of attracted to it right now. Like you see this range where, Cash Cat hit like a couple $100 million, and that was like the like local ceiling. But then you have something like Tendies that was floating between 8 and 10, like $5 and $10 million that ran to 30. So now, like I think we're seeing these shifts in ceilings, and it's becoming very interesting to me. And you're seeing these pullbacks right now, which is spooking the market a little bit. But I think it's great buying opportunities because the market is forming right in front of you, and it's showing you kind of where it's heading and where it's going.
Yeah. Do you think that's like just specific to Robinhood, or do you think that basically like the way that I viewed it is like, all right, Ansem kind of brought back the trenches a bit, right? Like he made people believe again that a coin could go above 100 million. And you know, we saw a lot of memes rush, and then you see a new chain pop up. There aren't necessarily the tools that there are for Solana for launching these coins, for tracking them, for bundling them, doing all that. Like, is Robinhood, do you think, like the area where a lot of people are focusing on right now, or what's the theory behind that?
What Ansem did was like wildly impressive. He's the only person on X that can drive that much attention, and all the algos and all the LPs and market makers. I mean, they're scanning everything he's doing.
Yeah.
And the growth of that token just shows, you know, A, flawless execution, and B, sentiment and engagement. The one thing that, you know, that concerned me about it was that I saw a reinvigoration of the trenches, but I didn't see a reinvigoration of like the broader meme coin market on Solana. Like you didn't see a lot of the OG coins really making moves. So that liquidity was, it was kind of soft cycling, as opposed to like a catalyst that's going to drive Popcat and Whiff and Bonk and all these other kind of, you know, OG Solana tokens to you know, reach another leg on their charts, and they kind of just like stabilize. What I did see was there was a green flag that went up. Trenches are alive. There's liquidity there. There's market interest, and all of a sudden, as Ansem's token like kind of topped out, boom. Then you have Robinhood that's like, we're going to capitalize on this momentum right now, and they were able to drive consistent volume, engagement, awareness on chain, and I was kind of seeing kind of like how Vlad was like communicating around this. And it's like he kept talking about RWAs, and I might be bouncing around a little bit, but I think that like all of these chains are going to be competing for RWA share, and that's going to be directed to where the sentiment and volume is going. So if Robinhood can double down on meme coins and drive attention and volume to their, you know, their chain, you know, when they start pushing the RWA market, I mean, all of a sudden, like a lot of like the market infrastructures are going to be skewed towards Robinhood. So that's like an interesting setup. And then like Solana is going to really have to compete to drive that market share back. And I think when that happens, you're going to see the broader meme coin market on Solana start to pick up, because they have to extract some of that volume to their chain.
Yeah, you don't see much loyalty.
I want to push back on the Robinhood thesis for a second, JonnyJPGS.
Sure.
Just want to play devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
Solana, obviously, huge meme coin success in its early days. As the markets became super efficient and we saw, you know, all kinds of extractive bundling plays and software, the meme coin market effectively got sold, right? This is a cultural zeitgeist opinion. Part of, I think, what made Robinhood so successful in its early meme coin run is that none of that infrastructure was already there, right? You know, we didn't have all these bundling bots. We didn't have a lot of this kind of extractive and malicious infrastructure in place. And that was what allowed so many Robinhood coins to do well. If we fast forward 6 months, let's say, can we expect that all of this kind of material and software is going to be deployed on Robinhood, and it's not going to have the same ceilings as we've seen in these early coins?
I think you're going to see a lot of cross-chain development. You're already seeing it right now with like Circus, like Bonk is launching their launchpad on Robinhood. You're seeing broader support, like FOMO expanding to Robinhood, all these other apps. So you're going to see a lot of cross-chain applicability. To me, like anytime markets get toppy is when you see a real big focus on perps and, you know, overly leveraged trading. So to me, it's like that's usually an indicator of when to kind of be cautious in the market. When people are going like 50x long on different meme coins, that's always like a red flag for me. So I see the liquidity cycling. I think we have to see some of these charts fully materialize. And if you look at like comparative meme coins, like an ETH cycle, Solana cycle, most of these meme coins were hitting $1 billion to $5 billion. Some of them upwards, you know, if you look OG like Doge and stuff, up to 40 or 50 or $60 billion. I don't think we ever get to that, but I do want to see something like a cash cap or a comparative token on Robinhood get to the $1 billion mark, because I think that's big validation for the chain. And I think once that does happen, you're going to see things changing and sentiment changing pretty drastically. But it's all rinse and repeat, all these cycles. Yeah.
If I was looking for an entry on CashCat right now, where should I be looking? Is now the moment, or do you think there's something that has to happen first? Because there's a lot of big wallets there that bought before the chain actually went live, and I know because I missed it because I bought Marion instead in the days before Vlad actually announced the chain. So
I'll be honest, I didn't touch CashCat. Personally, I didn't touch Cashcat. It was against my thesis of just like momentum trading and like aping like where all the attention's going. I wanted to kind of see where the chart played out. I think that like right now in that 50 to 80 million dollar market cap range is where it's kind of met some kind of a floor, and you see it on that trend line. It's trying to break above it. What I'm more concerned about on Robinhood are some of the other more smaller and mid cap coins that I think have equal or more, I guess, lure on Robinhood that to me are a bit more exciting. We haven't even seen like the Wall Street bets in the Reddit community really kind of dive into Robinhood yet. And I think, you know, if they're waiting for market validation and more momentum, and I think Cashcat and some of these other tokens are going to bring it. If Tendy's almost brought it. I mean, Tendy's pushing the 30 million mark, and then from there, like that narrative of like Tendy's is going to flip Cashcat. That was very interesting. Obviously, didn't have enough momentum because there was a lot of sell pressure. But the fact that it ran to 30 million ish plus was massive.
Yeah. And you know, something that I wanted to say is like it's all the same people that are in these coins, right? Like there's no loyalty in the trenches, right? Like if you look at FOMO, it's like the top traders are trading everything. It's like they're gonna chase the liquidity and where that
Sure.
is, right? Like wait, do you think that has staying power on Robinhood? Like Robinhood has like, you know, meme stocks, meme stonks, and there has been like a long history of that. Like, do you think they can lean into that, and like actually, you know, keep this going and compete with Solana on memes?
I think you have the lore aspect of it, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of like a historical significance to a lot of these coins and these metas that I think are worth doubling down. Like I mentioned Tendy's a few times. I think if Tendy's hits the $6 to $8 million market cap wise, that's a no brainer buy. Stonks right now is probably one of my bigger like conviction plays. I think Stonks has just a lot of historical significance. It ran to 3 million. It pulled back to like $300,000 or $400,000 market cap, and it stabilized, and now it's back up to almost about 600K. So to me, it's like they're showing, you know, relative strength. Again, once the market kind of catches up and these narratives start to flesh out, and the OG communities that were historically behind these narratives start to double down, I think you're going to see a lot of fireworks, and it's just a matter of time. Like this is like the accumulation time before we see a lot more volume. And Robinhood has a vested interest. Like this is everything right now is about sentiment, engagement, and momentum. And if they can capitalize on that, which, you know, Vlad is already starting to like tease different, posts about, you know, RWAs and meme coins and this and that, they know it. Like they need it. It just has to, the market has to cycle and play out fully.
That's hilarious that part of their business model is attention for meme coins, right? Like how did we get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, look at Buffalo. He was talking about even on Jito, like their new platform, like 50% of like their volume is, what do you say, is meme coins. I mean, there's something to be said. Like there is that underbelly of crypto that, you know, they're degenerate gamblers, and they're here for like, they don't want I can talk to you guys about conservative 3 to 5X's with size all day long till I'm blue in the face. But like something that could potentially like 50 to 100X, that gets people excited. And it's fun.
Yeah. 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 So, all right. You gave us a good setup for like where you think the market is, kind of where you're thinking, where you're leaning, as far as coins go. Now we got to hear it. What's the trade, Johnny?
Trade. Can I give you guys 2 trades? Because one is like a newer thing that just popped up that I think is worth just throwing out into the universe.
You can hedge. You can give us 2. Why not?
So I like stonks. I like the stonks narrative. I like the lore. I love how it applies to Robinhood chain for sure. I think it's a great entry. There's minimal downside risk, and there's a lot of upside potential. So short term, like it hit that $3 million threshold. I think the next stair step is that $8 to $10 million mark. So you're looking at, you know, a sizable 10 to 15x. If you want to open up like the 1 hour chart, you can kind of see and zoom out a little bit. Like you can see it's right in that on that left side. Like that's like a nice like a support area that it's been teetering off of. So I think that's very interesting to me. The other thing was something that Rafa Malos told me yesterday. He put me on to a really low cap token. It was like at a 10 or 15K market cap, and he messaged me, and it was OX Banana launched his 777 coin for his launchpad. So what's interesting there is that, and it's super creative, and it shows you like Solana innovation kind of bleeding into Robinhood. He's the only launchpad that's actually created a flywheel.
Yes.
And if that gets volume, it's going to explode. Pons is already at like several hundreds of millions of dollars in volume, and they're doing their token buybacks, which is great. But like this, degenerate gambling flywheel where, hey, part of the, platform fees are going to go towards buybacks. You actually, every trade you do gives you a lottery ticket where you can actually participate in a drawing for like a percentage of platform fees for that day. Like once these like numbers start increasing and people get wind of that, all of a sudden, like, people, the volume is going to shift. I think that's really interesting. And that's right now, it's only at like 100K market cap or like 80K or something like that. So to me, looking at a Pons that's running to like 40 million, it's worth like a little gamble to see if Banana can pull it off, which I think he can because he's bright enough and he's already shown like how he's thinking about it. So to me, like when you're betting on individuals, I think he's a pony worth getting behind.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially-
He's a legend in the Solana space,
Yeah,
right? Like he's
sure.
been building in Solana for years. He built out some of the earliest like NFT tools, I remember.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to see him like to continue to build it. And also shout out to Johnny for shilling a 100K shitter on the chat. Like this is great. This is
This is what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, if I was someone who's quite risk averse and I wasn't ready to start pouring funds into a 100K meme coin, would it be fair to say that Hood the stock would be a great benefactor from a surging Robinhood meme coin sector, or do you think that's the value accrual is not quite there for them?
I mean, I think the stocks performed well overall. I think definitely, if you see like the market shifting towards meme coins and volume going on chain, like look at Solana. Solana ran to 280 because of a lot of meme coin volume and a lot of DeFi and on-chain volume heading its way. So I think there's something to be said about, hey, look, if you're looking at equities, Robinhood, if they can pull this off and drive attention and volume, that's going to definitely affect their stock as well.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm a big Hood holder myself. All right, I gotta ask you, how are you sizing these? So when you look at this, like basically the way that we're setting this up, we have a portfolio, and like we want to talk about how we size, each one of these trades that we're going to take. Obviously, not financial advice, but like when you're looking at these, like, are you saying like, all right, like, I have like this is my meme coin portfolio. I'm going to put 10% in one trade, or how do you think about that? I never know how to size meme coins.
I guess it really just depends on the moment. Like most of these tokens, I'd like to get a good entry, and if I can size into a good entry, sub $1 million, like I'll try and get like anywhere from 1% to 3% of the circulating of the supply. It's larger caps, usually it's like 0.5% to 1%, depending on the conviction. Like with tendies, I was buying that around like 2 or 3 million market cap after the first leg up to 8 million. I bought on the backside of that, and so I bought like 0.5% of that, and then I sold it at around like 16 million or so. And of course, like I always sell too early, but I still like, it's a great trade to me. And I know we're wrapping up on time too. What I would close out with is, anyone who's trading anything, like set your sells, like don't marry your bags, have your targets, think about it, and when the time comes, like take the W and walk away. You can always get a better entry, and there's always a better coin to trade. And that's the rule I've lived by. And I've made that mistake not doing that for years. And it takes a lot of conviction and discipline to be able to stick to that.
Yeah, we all have. So that's definitely some good advice there. When I was asking you about sizing, I was thinking like percentage of your portfolio that you would put into it, not percentage of the actual circulating supply that you would buy. But that is a way better answer. That is a way better answer. I love it. I love the way you're thinking there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, Johnny, I want to circle back to what Simon was saying about Solana here. Now, do you think his target of around that kind of $40-50 mark, and then we go out and hit the bull market again is accurate? Do you think we're up from here? Where do you see the bear run from here? Do you think we're almost out of the woods?
I think it just really depends on broader market factors. Like there's so many variables at play that are out of all of our control that we just have to weather. I think there's definitely a case to be made where, $40 to $50 SOL is on the table because, Bitcoin may have or risk assets overall may have a big correction because of what's happening elsewhere. But on the flip side, again, like I'm a long-term trader with my larger, like more conviction plays that I'm trading with size. I'm just looking at like what the future upside potential is. Like if you're trading into like, into 2030, and I know that like, hey, I can buy Solana today at $70 or $80 or wherever it is right now. And I know it's going to go to $400 to $500. In what other market are you going to look at and be like, hey, I can have a 500 to 700% return on investment? I don't want to say guaranteed, but the probability is on my side in that regard. That to me is what I really look at. And if I have an opportunity to buy it even cheaper for even more upside, oh shit, like that's that's gravy on top. So
Yeah, I love that mindset. I think about it the same way, where it's like I most of my trading is just holding for long terms and buying the pain.
yeah.
We got to ask you about the Zcash trade. Did you hold? You still holding? What's going on there?
So I bought Zcash between like 15 and $20. I
Legend.
sold it. I had like 4 sells and I sold it at 250. I sold it at 400. I sold some at 550 and a little bit at like 650. And I hit my targets and I walked away.
That is what I'm
Um,
talking about. Oh man,
and once what's his name? Crypto Charles from BitMEX. Once he started, throwing out stupid targets, I was like, oh, here we go. Time to offload.
Arthur.
That's
Yeah,
it's always
Arthur.
like those Arthur. Yeah, Arthur. Yeah.
Arthur marks the top. That's yeah.
Oh my God.
As he does. Lucas came on and he actually said that he likes
I heard him.
Zcash, and that was
Look,
I'm still holding. I like it.
I like Zcash. I think like 1,000 to 2,500 Zcash is a realistic target if there's broader privacy adoption. There's a lot of other privacy coins that haven't ran as a result of Zcash's the kind of awareness of privacy, that I'm holding in size that I think are really interesting. Um, I'd like to see like that lift the broader privacy market as a whole, but really like Zcash's run was an isolated privacy kind of bull market, and none of the other privacy coins really moved, which to
Yeah.
me that was problematic because I think that if the broader privacy market moved alongside it, it's much stronger on the narrative as a whole that privacy is a dominant narrative, not just a really targeted or isolated move by a lot of KOLs and institutional investors and LPs and market makers.
Yeah.
So
I think the way they handled that exploit like set a standard in the industry as well. Like I don't think that anything was actually exploited. I think once this comes through, I like Zcash for, once they release this new Ironwood pool, once it's formally
yeah,
verified, like I feel like they're doing so much. They're like going over the top to fix this and show what they can do. So I like it. And like when I look at, market cycles, like right now, would normally be a time that I'm, moving cash into Bitcoin because, I want to hold it for a long time. And I'm not doing that, right? Like I almost think Zcash is the better play for what I used to use Bitcoin for. It's almost like a store of value. Like,
yeah.
do you view it like that at all? Or are you still buying Bitcoin?
So I don't hold any Bitcoin.
You don't.
My original buys on Bitcoin were probably around, like I started following Bitcoin when it was around $80, and I started buying it
80?
at 80, and I started
Oh
buying it around
man.
like $600 to $800. And I ran it from there with the first real bull market in like 2017, 2018. When it hit like 20K.
I
And
was around. I was around.
I've been through those cycles, and it's like, when it hit 65, saw that pullback, and I traded it for sure. Now that I feel like Bitcoin, and again, like Bitcoin maxis will kind of shit on me for this, but I feel like it's been commoditized. It is a
Yeah.
commodity, and it's really deviated from its original ethos. And I think that's an important narrative that has to be addressed. And my fear with Bitcoin is that it is going to be overly productized by institutions, so that this notion of, oh, it's only a 21 million supply, yeah, great, but if there's paper Bitcoin and synthetic Bitcoin that people are trading with derivatives, you're going to dilute the market, and it's going to allow institutions to control the price and control the crypto markets overall.
Yeah,
So
I'd
to
say it's
me,
already
like,
there. It's got to be
yeah,
already there, right? Like, it's so boring. It's like I don't care about Sailor and ETF flows. That's the market, right?
yeah. I mean, I was at Bitcoin Miami before like the Solana Miami conference years ago. That was so much fun. But I remember sitting there and hearing Sailor and like Kathy Wood being like, "You've got to sell everything." This Bitcoin was like at like 40 or 50K. Bitcoin's the future. Mortgage your homes. And within a week, it was like trading at like 32 or 35. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting, exhausting, like how they're shilling it. And I think they're doing trade, retail investors, like, it's very disingenuous. I think the potential is there, but I think that there's greater potential in other chains that we've seen with Solana and others that are going to be more impactful. Like for the first time, like in my entire crypto like life cycle, like a year ago, I started heavily looking at Chainlink, and all these like Link Marines were like, "Oh my God, Chainlink!" Like I was never a Link Marine, but it's like, they've got 70% market share, on the Oracle market, and their key infrastructure player once Clarity passes. To me, like that's a no-brainer layup. Would I buy Chainlink today or Bitcoin? Chainlink all day of the week, just because of that factor. Like I'm looking at picks and shovels. To me, like Bitcoin already had its run. Will it go higher? Probably. But to me, there's more underlying plays that are fundamental to the growth of crypto overall that are a lot more attractive to me personally.
Yeah, no,
Right,
I
you heard it here
100% agree
first.
with that. Oh,
Johnny
Finn,
JPG is saying return to altcoins.
he's
Oh,
been
I
known
love
to
my
shill.
altcoins.
You've been known to shill like some Dino coins. I feel like I've seen like a Litecoin call or two from you.
Litecoin,
You don't discriminate.
Algo, Link. Like I love altcoins. Altcoins will have their day. Absolutely. Again, I think that they're just waiting on Clarity Act to pass. But
All
Yeah.
right, all right.
all,
Altcoins will
all,
have their day. Speaking
sure.
of altcoins having their day, Thomas, I think it's time for us to move on and start placing some trades. We've heard from 3 great guests.
We have.
Let's see how that looks in the market. Johnny JPEGs, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a delight. It's been a pleasure, and we'll be keeping an eye on Robinhood as well, certainly.
Yeah,
Gentlemen,
Johnny, you're a legend. Thank you for coming on the show. We might need you again to come tell us another trade. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, you got it. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, take it easy, bud.
All right, Thomas, 3 fantastic guests, 3, 4, maybe even 5 quite interesting pitches. Probably best to start with Lucas right at the top.
Yeah.
He gave us Kit. How are you feeling
Yeah.
about Kit? What's your knee-jerk reaction here? I know looking at this, I have an opinion. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think before we get into this, we do, quick reminder, none of this is financial advice. This is for financial purposes only. Also, you can track all of these, perp.so. I am gonna pass on Ket. I don't mind it. If there is a little bit of a pullback, I am not against it. I mean, those videos were hilarious. I don't know the longevity of the coin. I don't know that much about it. And those are the type of plays that I always lose money on. So I think I'm personally going to pass on it. What do you think?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I'd agree as well. I don't love the idea of pouring funds into a meme coin that's up 300% on the day. You can see here all these wicks coming out. It keeps hitting this level. It keeps getting rejected. Volume is dropping off. That's not to say the videos aren't great. The videos are great. I feel like this is running out of steam here. Maybe it recoups a bit of volume and a bit of momentum, back around these levels here in the middle. But I'm not comfortable allocating to this at this stage.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, I wish I disagreed with you because it'd probably be better content if we went back and forth on that. But I mean, realistically, it is fantastic content. Like, I was genuinely laughing when I was watching those videos. But I like Lucas's Zcash calling, right? And Johnny hit on it a little bit too. Like, I think there's some momentum there. And I think the interesting part for me about that I think about Zcash is like there's not quite as much liquidity as you would imagine on it because so many coins are locked up. So like when a lot of the moves happen, they get overstated, right? So they correct back. Like I think that there's like a period right now, so it looks like it kind of dumped a little bit to 510. I don't mind it here. I'm not sure exactly how I would play that, but I think I'm a buyer of Zcash.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I like Zcash. I like the thesis that, let's say we have some political upheaval in the US. We have a lot of people worried about redistribution and they want to park the assets somewhere where they're not going to get seized by the government. That's something that could happen in the next 2 years or so. I think there's definitely a bid for privacy. If I map this out a wee bit, we have a nice little retrace here on the Fibonacci that drops to 0.5 to 0.61. Between this zone that also kind of approaches this trend line here that we've got running up underneath. So I think I'm a buyer of Zcash, but I think I'm a buyer of Zcash at these levels. I don't know if I want to jump in here. I think I want to wait for that to come down a wee bit more. And that would also line up quite nicely with this previous resistance that we had here in this little local pocket. So I think anywhere between here is probably a good bid. So obviously, this is not financial advice. Everything you see is entertainment purposes only. But I think when we go to place trades, I'll be dropping one in around this spot here.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of like short-term catalysts, right? I think that we're weeks away from seeing the Ironwood pool actually be released. I think that the formal verification results come out relatively soon. So I think there's a short-term narrative on it where we could see it catch a little pump there. And also, I should mention that I live in California and they're trying to seize some property, right? They want 5% of all the billionaires, including me, 5% of their assets, right? So, in that sense, it just makes a lot of sense. The Zcash narrative like hits home for me. I think that there is just like a lot, I don't know, personal private like property. I feel like is not like being attacked, but the idea of it is. And the what do they say? It's Zcash or communism. And a lot of the narratives are good. Like I like it as a store of value. I do think that it outperforms Bitcoin. And as I said, like when I think about the market, I lean more towards Zcash than I do Bitcoin these days. So yeah, I think I'm a buyer here, and I'll probably execute suit like around this level and probably do what around 5% of the portfolio.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying, short term, you think it goes up from here immediately. So you're going in earlier, and I'm going to hold out and wait a bit longer because I think there's still a nice little 10% dip here. That could come from anything. We could have
Yeah.
escalation in the Middle East that could, nuke coins for 10% or so. So I'm quite happy to hang out down there as well. But so far, we're down on Kit. We're up on Zcash. So interesting that we're both in agreement. Next up, we had Simon. Simon coming in with a Sol short down to about 45.50. Interesting.
Yeah, what a legend for coming on the SolanaFloor, trading floor show where we're both, Solana maxis and pitch a short of Solana. But
the goal of the man. I love the ambition. I love the balls to go ahead and do that. I can see it happening. I don't know if I want to bet on it happening. I think it's probably great to have a stink bid down to like $50 anyway, just in case something happens and we do go there. You'll be happy to scoop up Sol at that price. I don't think I would short here. I think we're building up a nice bit of momentum here. You can see this trend is here. It's intact for now. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay like that, but at this stage, let's say we keep pushing up as he showed with his LA waves. We push up to here. We probably just maintain that trend intact. Short of any black swan that happens that could send us down. I wouldn't be opening any Sol short here. I don't think. What do you reckon?
Yep, I'm not going to short. Like I said before, I just don't short coins, right? So I'm not going to enter that. Like I would probably actually consider buying around here, just because, like I don't know, like I see it with a lot of narratives. Like yes, maybe there is a small down, there's a small chance that you do see a little bit of a downside here. But I think that's pretty mitigated, right? Like you look at that chart on the high time frames, like we've had our pounding, right? There has been quite enough of the bear market. I think, if we aren't at the bottom, we're very close. And, I'm willing to hold through a drawdown as I've held some of my Sol from the top to this point, right? So like what's a $20 dip at this point?
Well, a $20 dip, but it's still a 30% dip there.
Yeah.
So it checks out. But look, yeah, I'm not going to short, but I could probably just throw in a stink bid at like $50 or so. I think that would be worthwhile.
Yeah.
But I
And
wouldn't be taking Simon's trade here.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, it's setting that too. That kind of validates his TA, right? Like that seemed to make sense. The Elliott waves, I've never really had them explained to me like that. And I mean, could it be my bullish bias in the way of actually taking that trade? Maybe, right? Like I acknowledge that I'm overly bullish, especially on Solana, right? I've been here for too long. I know what's going on. I see the narratives. I see the SIMDs where they're going to be burning more, and the tokenomics are going to improve. So I naturally, see that going up. But my trading mind is long term, right? I look 6 months, a year down the line, and it's like all of those coming together, means more buyers and sellers in my mind, right?
Yep. Bullish sold long term. Would love to see that $450, $500 price point. Johnny JPEGs. What's our thesis we got most out of him? Because a lot of Robinhood coins, I'm not too keen to bridge over and buy a 100K Robinhood coin. He talked about Cash Cat a bit. He said he wasn't in Cash Cat. Do you think there's a bid here for Cash Cat at all, or do you think, what's your view here?
Yeah.
So we're lost now.
I don't know. I think it is interesting, right? And I think when it comes to other chains, like my general mindset is there is a short period of time when a new chain comes out where people rush to it, they bring liquidity, they try it out, and then they bridge back. Like, is this the time where are people still deploying? Are people still bridging? Like, I don't know. Like, I haven't really necessarily been, checking the flows as much, but it is pretty easy to use like a FOMO and bridge between chains, right? Like you don't even know what chain you're necessarily using. When you use Robinhood, it's just a little bit slower and more expensive, right? So I think that's, I don't know. Like, I don't know where that leads me. Like, there are going to be some interesting coins on there. I doubt they're all going to zero. Cash Cat's kind of like the major coin on there. And I don't know. Okay, so the narrative with meme coins is always like, all right, like pump fund, they're going to be buying this coin to pump everything up, or the bonk team's going to be buying this coin. They're going to push it really high to get attention. Like, I don't know how true that is, right? Like Vlad can, follow a couple teams. He can make a couple, pro meme coin tweets, but like he's not deploying capital into these memes. So, I think that a lot of that might be overstated. Like, yes, he's going to try to drive as much attention as he possibly can to the Robinhood chain right now. And, that's going to acknowledge it in, different tweets and such. But I don't know how much he's going to be pumping the charts, right? Like, I think that narrative is generally kind of overstated. But with that said, I mean, is there room for, the 100K 777 coin to go up, especially if it has better mechanics for a launch pad than the other ones? Yeah, I think there's some upside there. Am I going to buy either of these? Probably not. No offense to Johnny. I like those trades. Like, I don't mind them, but I don't even know if we can track those right now.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna give a hard pass to the Robinhood coins, but I do appreciate that there's probably a lot of value there for some people. But fortunately, we have a whole slew of alternative trades that have been submitted by the community here. So if we pop across to perps.so, we can see that tradingFloor is in session now. These submissions have come from community members, people who logged in, who submitted their trade theses ahead of time. A good few to get through here. We'll start from the top. We've got Light of Raheem saying shorting Sol at $77.33 following macro 2-hour market cap breakdown below resistance, targeting 74.5 continuation floor with a refined stop at $78. Patiently waiting breakout confirmation for a long reversal once structural support solidifies. Very short term, similar to Simon. I don't know if I want to go straight into a very, very tight short on Sol at the moment. What do you reckon?
Yeah, not quite into that, but I like seeing the theses on here. I do want to encourage people, if you are out there trading, we do want to see more of these, and we will be reading them out each stream, right?
Indeed. We've also got long Aave from Jack Dunham there. Long Aave at $91.
2x
It's an
leverage.
option. It's an option. Target $130 in 3-4 weeks. Yep. Look, I typically stay away from these kind of old dino coins, these ETH giants particularly. I feel like they have this really deeply ingrained, DAO decentralized governance mandate that provides them value, and I think they're a lot overvalued compared to Solana equivalents. I know that Aave does have a fee switch these days, so there's a bit more reason for it, but I'm just not sure I want to start chipping into ETH-based Dino coins at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to that too, it's like, Aave's a legend. They're like the OG DeFi protocol, but like I'm not tracking any of the metrics there. I couldn't even tell you how much TVL they had. But I mean, it is Jack saying it, so maybe he's got a point. Maybe he's doing this research and he's not sharing the alpha.
Maybe, or maybe we go inverse Jack and we short Aave here. One I like this one. Always Afsal. Yesterday, Alibaba launched Qwen 3.8, reportedly second only to Claude Fable, while Kimi has already outperformed the latest Claude and GPT models on some benchmarks and matched them on others. Alibaba reportedly owns 36% of Kimi maker Moonshot AI, holds a stake in GLM developer Jipu AI, and provides critical infrastructure to China's AI ecosystem through Alibaba Cloud. Whichever Chinese AI company becomes the market leader, Baba appears positioned to win. I like this, Thomas. I think Chinese AI is on a bit of a tear at the moment. It's obviously not a lot cheaper, but it's more efficient and cheaper in many cases than what we're seeing out of Anthropic and OpenAI. There's a much smaller premium on it from the Frontier Labs out in the West. And if Baba has got a stake in pretty much everything going on there, it feels to me like it's almost a proxy bet on the success of Chinese AI. Am I clutching at straws here? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Awais. I think it's a great trade thesis, and he'll eventually come on the show because it seems like he has some fantastic trades. This one, however, he is wrong on. I'm a little bearish when it comes to the Chinese equity markets. Let's say that Baba gets too successful, maybe they disappear Jack Ma again or something along those lines. Like I would be very fearful in actually like investing in any of those companies. I don't know how investable Chinese companies are.
Yeah, that's a good argument. I think the thing that could invalidate this as well is that if Trump comes out next week and he says we're geo-blocking all Chinese AI products, I think Baba would get absolutely wrecked on that news, and that's something that could totally happen.
Yeah.
At the same time, I like the idea of being able to bet on the Chinese AI boom. I think it's probably undervalued comparatively to Anthropic and OpenAI. I'm going to take this trade over on this side.
Oh, you are? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm
I
gonna
don't
take it
know how
here.
much I don't know how much money you make from an open source like open weight model, right? Like you're not paying for tokens with those, right? Like you create the model, they likely distilled it from from a lot of the American models, and then I don't know how the value accrual necessarily goes on those open source models, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a fantastic
Baba's got a
development,
stake
right?
in all of these AI companies, so I think they probably do well.
Yeah.
Second one from Airways, down bad in the last 2 weeks. This is Bonk due to the $20 million exploit. Now the exploit is fully sold, big overreaction from the market. We can go even higher than my target if market remains stable. It feels criminal to bet against Bonk as a Solana OG. Thomas, how are you feeling about this? You've probably got some Bonk already.
Yeah, so I got the hat up there. I mean, Bonk are the OGs. Shout out to the Bonk team. It's been a brutal couple of weeks for them, but I mean, once I saw that the exploiter dumped all of his coins, I started buying myself. So I am in this trade as well. I have taken the trade already. Shout out to Awais. Not financial advice, but we did.
Cool. When you get the chance, Thomas, you'll maybe pop on to purple.so and click through that one there, so that it's reflected up on the dash.
Yeah, sure.
Moving swiftly on, Beanophorus, unmatched retail distribution on Hood, most accessible way to trade markets in the world, and the best way to long that everyone becomes a trader in the future thesis. This also kind of ties into what JonnyJPGS was saying. Like if Hood ends up with this blistering blockchain with heaps of activity and heaps of revenue growth, Hood's going to grow from there as well. I like that everybody becomes a trader thesis. I think if we end up in a world where we have a K-shaped economy and people are trading to get out of the permanent underclass, Hood is going to be the first port of call for them to do that. And I see a very bright future for Hood long term. I'm probably going to take that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I personally own Hood already, so I am taking this trade. I mean, Robinhood like captured the trading mentality of stock traders a long time ago, right? So they have that, and I think right now, I think even President Trump said that everything's becoming gambling, right? So a good way to long degeneracy is to buy Hood. I think that if crypto takes off, it likely outperforms some of it. I think their crypto side has been losing money lately, where I think that turns around pretty quickly, especially with the launch of their own chain. They just launched a social network, and I was checking it out, and you literally have to post a ticker in order to post. It's fantastic. It's like it's the opposite of Twitter, where you literally have to post about a financial asset. So it's interesting. We'll see where that goes, but I think the social aspect of trading is very interesting. But I think that's like one of the core premises of the show, right? We want the trading floor. We want to see what people are doing, and it's an interesting model. So yeah, I'm in it.
All right. I've just got a message from the guys in the back room. JonnyJPGS has actually knocked this one out of the park, because if I come over here, I share this tab. Just in the last hour, Stonks, which is one of the coins that Johnny mentioned, put in a big old candle. We're up around 93% on the day. Well done, JonnyJPGS, guys. This is why you need to be tuning into tradingFloor, because people come on, they drop alpha, and we have coins ripping up 100%.
Look at the motion. Look at the motion that JonnyJPGS has. Incredible motion. I love it.
The man. All right, well done, JonnyJPGS. Coming back here, we've got one more community submission. This one's from Sandeep Papu5, pitching in Bonk. He said, Sol goes up, Solana users return, trading volume increases, meme activity increases, Bonk ecosystem usage increases, attention liquidity flows into Bonk, Bonk outperforms Sol, more attention. That is the bull case. Basically, Bonk is the ultimate beta for Sol. Sol goes up, Bonk goes up harder. Yeah, look, I want to see Bonk succeed. Oh, you're taking that one as well. You're fully stacked Bonk and Hood.
Yeah, I'm into Bonk. I feel like the beta to the Sol trade is kind of weird. Like I don't love that narrative, but it's true, right? Like every time Sol goes up, Bonk goes up 2 to 3 times that. That's not financial advice, but that's like my observation of it. And I mean, they're gonna come back, right? Like I feel like the Bonk teams, like the legends in the area. I received a bunch of the airdrops from them. Like it, I don't know. I feel like we as a community owe a lot to the Bonk team, and if there's anything we can do to help them out, why not?
Yeah, I agree. So we're gonna move back over to the theses that were given to us by our lovely guests. We both agree, Thomas, that we're gonna go in on Zek here. For me, based on this chart I've done and what I mentioned before, I think I'm gonna place a bid. I'm gonna do probably 5% of the portfolio at this mark here, at the 0.5 on the Fibonacci, around 470, and then another 0.5 of another 5% of the portfolio at this 0.61 mark on the Fib at 446. I'm going to drop these limit orders in here now. Let's do 5% at 470. And bang, that's in there right there on the chart. Perfect. We love to see it. And the second level here, 443. Let's go with that. Again, 5% of the portfolio. 443.
Yeah. You know what? When we were talking earlier, it was at 510, 511. It's already up to 514. I mean,
yeah. So maybe you might be right, actually, just getting in there now. But shall I let you pass over your screen and you can run the same?
Yeah. Let's see. I hope I don't mess this up.
I'm going to get my screen ready for Baba after as well. I think that's a great shout.
Yeah. All right. Can you see my screen on there?
I can indeed.
All right. Let me close that. Let's see. Yeah. So I'm setting this up. I'm going 10% of the port.
Solid. You going smart fill right now?
I'm going smart fill. Just to see it, right? Is that or should we just go market? I think markets. I think it's the same price, but we might as well do a smart fill. 5 orders every 0.8 seconds. Let's go.
We love seeing those smart fills go through.
All right, we're in. And then here, now we can see the actual trade history. So with one button, we got in 5 trades and all worth $20. And then look at the pricing. It actually came through at slightly different prices, right? So the smart fill is awesome. All right, so what? 514, 50, 72, 50, 72, and 78. So it got the best price it could at each one of those times. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I think this is going to be massive, especially for people who are moving a lot of size. Like, if you're coming in and you're throwing retail size pieces in this, it's going to be great to see. But I think where people will really see the benefit from this is if they're making 5-6 figure clips at once. Awesome feature, and can't wait for the rest of the features. I think trailing stop loss is going to be awesome. That's what I'm really hanging out for. But JTX so far, very smooth, very snappy. It's delivering on the hype that was being built for it. So very excited.
I think so as well. And I mean, look at this. You get the 5 fills right here on the chart as well. I mean, I'm not even going to really put, I, I think I'm just going to leave this as is and just hold, right? I guess I could get in and put a stop loss in there if I wanted to, but I don't know, unless some sort of drastic move happens, I'm okay just holding this as is.
Yeah, I think that's solid. I also want to drop in a stink bit on Sol based on what Simon was saying. If I can grab the screen share back from you.
Oh, yeah, let me stop. There we go. Playing hot potato with the screen here.
Yeah, our good man Simon, he was saying we're going down to maybe 45 in the next few months. I think that level might get front run. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go 20% of the port, and because this is a stink bid, right? And like if it doesn't match, then fine. I'll allocate that elsewhere. $50 at Sol, 20% of the port. Yeah, we're 36% below market price. I think that's fine. Here we go. And that's just going to sit there. If we get there, great. If we don't, I'll just reallocate that capital. But otherwise, Thomas, I'm pretty happy with that trading that we've got on today. I think some great guests. We had some great theses, a lot to love. Where do you think these go? Are you feeling confident in the positions we've got?
I do. I mean, if Solana got down to $50, I'm just going to full port, and I'm going to, like, we don't have leverage here yet, but I mean, we've got XSOL, right? We can use high-low XSOL tokens, and we could do a little long. I mean, if we get down to $50, $50 Sol, I'm long in full port.
Long and full port. Love to see it. Look, well, Thomas, we're going to wrap up. We're approaching the 2-hour mark there. It's been a brilliant trading session. I'm stoked. I think the guests are fantastic. A final reminder to all our viewers, if you've got any undervalued tickers, you've got some brilliant trade setups or theses that you want to come on to the show and share with us, please write to either myself, Thomas, or the SolanaFloor X account. We'll be happy to chat to you and bring you onto the trading floor. Otherwise, head to perp.so. You can track all the trades we're making. You can track the wallets, and you can submit theses of your own that will then be shared on next week's show. Once again, thank you all for joining us. There's one last thing I wanted to mention. Obviously, we've heard about the terrible earthquake in Venezuela recently. Venezuela's in a bit of a tough time, but we have some Solana heavyweight community members like Michael who are reaching out to everyone in the Solana community to see if they can, contribute something to help people in Venezuela struggling at the moment. Michael says here to everyone in the Solana community, need your help. Just like yesterday, every donation received today will be turned into essential supplies and sent to the most affected areas by the end of the day. I will spend the day at a local collection center in my city, helping with whatever is needed. If anyone wants to donate to people in need in Venezuela following earthquakes, please check out Michael here, and he'll be able to send you in the right direction. He is the co-founder of Solana Venezuela and the previous All Stars Venezuela member as well. So
also, one more thing too before we finish, but that was fantastic. Thanks for shouting that out. But you could also visit our financial disclosures page on the SolanaFloor website to see, what coins we actually hold, and we are going to be tracking these positions on perp.so as well. So, we want to be upfront and open about what we own, and you'll see that I own Zcash on there and in the perp.so challenge. So, there we are.
Indeed. All right, Thomas, we're going to let these people go. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a fantastic show. We're really, really stoked that you will join us here today. We'll see you again next week, Wednesday, same time, same place, at 11 a.m. ET, and we'll also be here on Friday for the Solana Weekly News Recap. Thomas, thanks again. I'll see you in the order books.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Finn. That was a ton of fun. Appreciate it.